They entered the human worship. Only one came back. The alien fleet arrived silently. No explosions, no warnings, no resistance. Just observation. From orbit, Earth looked weak. Primitive cities. Outdated weapons. Unorganized species. The Council of Zarthul had studied humans for decades. Conclusion? Emotionally unstable. Physically fragile. Easy to conquer. But something strange appeared in their scans. Across the planet, humans gathered in massive structures. Not military bases. Not research labs. Places of worship. Commander Vakarn stood inside the warship, his cold silver eyes scanning the hologram. Why do they gather here? One soldier asked. Another replied. Primitive ritual, possibly fear-based submission to a higher entity. Vakarn tilted his head. No energy signatures. No weapons. No defenses. A pause. Send a unit, observe, report. A squad of 7 elite alien soldiers descended to Earth. Their destination, a massive ancient structure. Stone walls, tall towers, echoes of human voices inside. It was night. Rain poured heavily. Lightning flashed across the sky. The humans inside were praying. The aliens cloaked themselves and entered. At first, nothing happened. Humans didn't notice them. Some were crying, some whispering, some staring upward like they were speaking to something unseen. One alien whispered through comms, "These creatures are broken. They beg to invisible forces." Another responded, "No threat detected. Mission trivial." Then, one of them stepped forward, closer to the center, closer to the human ritual. And that's when it happened. The lights flickered. A sudden silence fell. Every human stopped. At the same time, slowly, they turned their heads, not randomly, not confused, directly toward the aliens. "But we are cloaked," one soldier said, voice shaking. "No biological detection possible," another replied. Yet every human eye locked onto them, unblinking, still, watching. The temperature dropped. Their advanced suits began malfunctioning. Static filled their comms. And then, a voice. Not from outside. Not from any device. It came from inside their minds. "You should not be here." One alien screamed. Another dropped to his knees. Vakarn's ship above lost signal instantly. Every system went dark. Inside the worship place, the humans slowly stood up, together as one, and whispered. They came uninvited. Outside, the storm intensified. Lightning struck the ground, and the structure began to glow faintly. Then, screams. Not human, not animal. Something far worse. Hours later, the alien warship regained signal. Only one life sign detected. One survivor. He returned to the ship, but he was no longer the same. His armor torn, his body shaking, his eyes completely black. Commander Vakarn stepped back. What happened down there? The survivor slowly lifted his head and whispered. They were not praying. The chamber was silent. Too silent. Commander Virek stood frozen at the entrance, his clawed hand still gripping the plasma rifle. Behind him, 12 elite alien soldiers waited, their breathing shallow inside their biomechanical suits. At the center of the room, the humans were kneeling, dozens of them, heads bowed, eyes closed, whispering something. Together, a low rhythmic chant echoed through the chamber, vibrating the metallic walls. Virex narrowed his glowing eyes. "This is worship?" he muttered. One of his soldiers, Krell, stepped forward. "They are unarmed, Commander, weak, submissive." Virex felt it too. No visible threat. No weapons. No resistance. And yet, something felt wrong. Very wrong. "Advance," Virex ordered. The soldiers moved in, surrounding the humans. Still not a single human reacted. The chanting continued, soft, steady, unnatural. Krell laughed. "These are the beings that destroyed 3 fleets?" Another soldier kicked one of the kneeling humans. No response. The chanting grew louder. Virex suddenly felt a strange pressure inside his skull, like something was pushing against his thoughts. "Stop that sound," he barked. But the humans didn't stop. Instead, one of them slowly lifted his head. An old man, wrinkled face, hollow eyes. And then, he smiled. Not in fear, not in surrender, but in recognition. You finally came, the old man whispered. The chanting stopped. Instantly, every human in the chamber raised their heads at the same time. Dozens of eyes locked onto the alien soldiers. Virex stepped back. For the first time, he felt fear. "What are you?" he demanded. The old man slowly stood up. "You thought we were worshipping," he said calmly. "We were." A pause. "But not the way you understand." Suddenly, the walls trembled. The lights flickered violently, and the symbols carved into the floor began to glow. Krell turned in panic. "Commander, those markings, they're not decoration." The ground beneath them pulsed like a heartbeat. Virex tried to give an order, but his voice failed. The old man raised his hand, and the chanting resumed. Louder, deeper, not from the humans, but from everywhere. From the walls, from the floor, from inside their heads. One by one, the alien soldiers dropped their weapons, clutching their helmets. "Make it stop," Krell screamed. But it only grew stronger. Visions flooded their minds. Endless darkness, a presence older than stars. Watching, waiting, hungry. Virex fell to his knees. "What have you done?" he gasped. The old man stepped closer. "We didn't call it," he said quietly. A chilling smile spread across his face. It was already here. Suddenly, Krell let out a horrifying scream, and his body lifted off the ground, twisting unnaturally before. Silence. He was gone. Not dead. Gone. Erased. One by one, the soldiers began to disappear. No blood. No bodies. Just nothing. Virex crawled backward, his mind breaking. "Stop, please!" The old man leaned down, looking directly into his eyes. "You entered a place of worship," he said softly. "You should have asked who we pray to." The chamber went dark. The chanting stopped. And then, everything vanished. Only one came back. Commander Virex, floating in the cold vacuum outside the station, his suit barely functioning, his eyes wide with madness. When they rescued him, he spoke only one sentence before losing his mind completely. They weren't praying for protection. A pause. They were keeping it asleep. The chamber was no longer silent. What they once thought was worship was something far older, far darker. The last remaining alien, Commander Virex, stood frozen at the entrance. His breathing was sharp, uneven. His suit flickered with warning signals, but he didn't move. Because now, he understood. This wasn't a place where humans prayed. The survivors from his unit, just 3 of them, had pushed deeper into the structure, ignoring his command to retreat. "Commander, you need to see this," one of them had said moments ago. Now their voices were gone, replaced by something else, a low, rhythmic whisper, not coming from one direction, but from everywhere. The walls were moving. Virex's scanner tried to analyze it. Error, Panther. Then a voice spoke, not through sound. Through his mind, you came to observe. Virex dropped to one knee, clutching his helmet. "What are you?" he whispered. The response came instantly. "We are what they call when they are alone." Suddenly, a scream echoed from deeper inside. One of his soldiers. Then another. Then silence. Virex forced himself forward. Step by step, against every instinct screaming at him to run, he turned the corner and froze. The chamber opened into a vast circular hall. At the center, a single human stood, head bowed, completely still. But around him, shapes, tall, distorted, barely visible, like shadows trying to become real. They circled the human slowly, almost respectfully, almost like they were the ones worshipping him. Virex's heart pounded. "This is impossible," he muttered. Humans were supposed to be weak, primitive, alone. But this human was not alone. The human slowly raised his head. And for the first time, Virex saw his eyes. They weren't human anymore. They were watching back. The shadows stopped moving. At once, as if they sensed something new. Something foreign. The human turned, slowly, directly toward Virex, and smiled. Every system in Virex's suit shut down instantly. Total darkness. Total silence. Then, a final whisper filled his mind. "Only one leaves. To tell the others." Virex woke up outside the structure. Alone. No soldiers. No signals. No evidence of what happened inside. But one thing had changed. His reflection in the visor. For a split second, it wasn't his face looking back. It was something else. The survivor didn't remember walking out. One moment he was inside the human structure. The next he was standing outside, alone. The doors behind him were sealed. Not locked. Not broken. Sealed. Like they had never existed. His squad, gone. No signals, no bodies, no traces. Only silence. The alien command ship immediately pulled him aboard. At first they thought he was in shock. But something was wrong. He didn't speak. Didn't move. Didn't react to pain. His helmet was still on. Protocol demanded removal. But the survivor suddenly grabbed the commander's arm. Tight. Too tight. Don't. His voice was layered, like multiple beings speaking at once. The commander froze. Don't what? The survivor slowly turned his head. You saw them pray. A long pause. Then, they saw you too. The room temperature dropped. Not physically, but every soldier felt it. The commander ordered, remove the helmet. 2 guards stepped forward, slowly, carefully. The moment they touched the helmet, the lights went out. Total darkness. Then, a sound. Not a scream, not a voice. Something deeper, like 1,000 whispers, speaking inside their minds. Join us! The emergency lights flickered on. Red. Pulsing. Alive. The survivor was no longer standing. He was floating, his body twisted unnaturally, bones shifting, armor cracking from the inside. And then, the helmet came off. Inside, there was no face, only darkness. Moving, watching, breathing. And within that darkness, shapes, human shapes, kneeling, praying. The commander stepped back in horror. That's not possible. The survivor smiled. But he had no mouth. You entered their worship. A pause. Then the truth. Now they worship through us. The ship alarms screamed. Containment protocols activated. Too late. Every screen turned black. Then, a single symbol appeared. A human hand. Raised. Not in surrender. In prayer. And across the entire ship, one by one, the soldiers dropped to their knees. Not by force, not by fear, but by something far worse.
Faith?
Only the commander remained standing. Trembling, broken, the survivor floated toward him. Slowly, inevitably, bow. The commander raised his weapon, hands shaking. I will never worship humans. The survivor tilted his head. You already do. The commander looked down. His hands were folded, in prayer. The signal had stopped. For 17 hours, nothing. No movement, no sound, no life signs. Until one signal returned. The rescue ship hovered above the dead zone. Ash-covered land. Silent structures. The same temple, but something was wrong. The doors were open. Inside, footsteps echoed. The walls were no longer covered in carvings. They were moving, breathing, watching. Identify yourself. Silence. Then, a figure stepped out of the darkness. It was him. The last survivor. But he wasn't the same. His suit was gone. His skin was marked with symbols that shifted like living ink. His eyes. No longer afraid. No longer human. Where's the rest of your team? The commander's voice trembled. The man smiled. Slowly. Calmly. They didn't understand. He stepped closer. Worship isn't something humans created. The ship's crew froze. It's something. He looked back at the temple. The walls pulsed. The ground whispered. That created humans. Suddenly, every system on the rescue ship failed. Lights flickered. Gravity distorted. Outside, the temple began to rise. Not a building. Not a place. A living entity. Ancient, hungry, awake. The man turned back one last time. I wasn't the only one who came back. Behind him, shadows moved, dozens, hundreds, all wearing human faces. The transmission cut. Final log. Do not respond to signals from Earth Sector D7.
Humanity
Is no longer what we thought it was.